the ADX can be considered a lagging indicator, and this shows more in some contexts than others, such as when price is in a relatively horizontal range but has sharp swing points resulting in minor to even moderate changes in price. Sudden major moves, especially gaps, can also throw off the ADX indicator with lagging results. Often, after the sudden directional movement of a gap, there will be a flatter phase, which the ADX will be slower to reflect since it is still on an incline after the initial gap. But it can eventually catch up, especially if there is a defined continuation, such as with this downtrend. Strong directional movement, in this case towards a downward direction, is indicated by the ADX to be quite strong since it is nearing values of 50. When there's a relatively quick major reversal such as this bullish reversal, there can still be a brief period of less directional movement during the change in trend. That will continue to be reflected for a short time longer, even though price has begun to sharply reverse. This lagging discrepancy of flat to falling ADX values can be especially apparent when there's a sharper breakout from a relatively small horizontal range. During cases such as near the end of this uptrend, lag will be less apparent when there is a smoother and gradual transition to more non-directional movement. Since ADX is only an indicator of directional strength and not the exact direction, either bullish or bearish, a more rounded reversal area such as this peak before the gap down can result in the ADX appearing to have risen for a prolonged period, because it continues to display directional strength from both the upswing before the gap down and the continuation after the gap down. Since that downward reversal point just before the gap down isn't overly sharp, nor is it overly flat. In this way, ADX values start to rise when the upswing begins and continue to rise when the downswing begins, with no noticeable reversal or plateau of the ADX line due to the chart remaining very directional, first bullish, then bearish, with no major delay in between with overly flat or sharp movement around that bearish reversal point. That's in contrast to the halt of this strong downtrend where ADX noticeably flattens and begins to decline once this defined neutral to potentially bullish range begins to form, to begin a new phase of overall less directional movement.